Hello, it's Saturday, the 23rd of April. You're tuned in to our 6 p.m. newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. It's very good to have you with us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this evening, South Korea and China have reaffirmed that they are on the same page on getting North Korea to abandon its nuclear weapons and return to talks. The meeting in Beijing comes as satellite imagery suggests Pyongyang could be about to conduct a fifth nuclear test. Shin Se-min starts us off.
The top nuclear envoys of South Korea and China have warned of additional grave measures against North Korea if the regime launches additional provocations like a fifth nuclear test. The remarks were made by Seoul's Special Representative for Korean Peninsula Peace and Security Affairs Kim Hong-kyun and his Chinese counterpart Woo Da-wei after their bilateral meeting in Beijing. Agreeing to maintain close contact, the two officials also affirmed that they take a stern stance against any actions that violate UN Security Council resolutions. Pyongyang is under tough international sanctions following its fourth nuclear test in January and a long-range missile launch the following month. Recent satellite images appear to show that North Korea is ready to conduct another nuclear test at any time at its Punggye-ri nuclear test site. Experts believe the regime wants to conduct the test ahead of its key party congress in early May. Following the meeting, China's foreign ministry said Beijing will stay in close communication with Seoul and make extra efforts to restart the long-stalled six-party talks. Seoul's representative emphasized that the delegates of South Korea, the U.S., and China have been coordinating separately for 2 straight days. He met with Sung Kim, U.S. Special Representative for North Korea, the day before meeting Woo in Beijing. The Chinese envoy also met with Sung Kim the previous day, where the two agreed to remain united on the firm opposition to North Korea's provocative and irresponsible behavior. And although China has yet to accept Seoul's request to hold three-way discussions, the South Korean official said the consecutive rounds of talks were a sign of progress. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, North Korea's foreign minister had a brief but friendly encounter with UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon at UN headquarters on Friday local time as he attended the signing ceremony for the Paris Climate Agreement. After signing the deal at the podium of the UN General Assembly Hall, Lee Soo-young shook hands with Ban warmly and they talked to each other for a few seconds before posing for the cameras, as you can see there. Giving a short speech prior to the signing, the North Korean minister criticized the United States. He argued that stability must be guaranteed in order to address the world's environmental problems, but what he called U.S. nuclear war exercises were destabilizing the situation. Lee is not expected to meet formally with Ban or U.S. Secretary General John Kerry. The North Korean minister is due to leave New York this weekend. Japan's Justice Minister is the latest high-profile member of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's cabinet to visit the controversial Yasukuni War Shrine. Mitsubishi Iwaki visited the shrine in person on Saturday, the final day of Japan's Spring Festival. The shrine honours Japan's war dead, including 14 Class A war criminals. Iwaki's visit comes a day after another minister and scores of Japanese lawmakers paid their respects at the Yasukuni shrine. Prime Minister Abe sent a ritual offering on Thursday. Korea and China, both victims of Japan's past actions, have condemned the visits, saying it beautifies the country's colonial past and war of aggression. Korea's construction firms are expected to seal a number of bumper deals with Iran when President Park Geun-hye takes a business delegation with her during a trip to the country next month. President Park travels to Tehran on May 1st for a 3-day trip where she will discuss ways to boost bilateral ties following the lifting of international sanctions on the country. During the president's visit, the business delegation is expected to put pen to paper on agreements worth between 13 to 17 billion US dollars to build rail, petrochemical and medical infrastructure in Iran. Hyundai Engineering and Delim Industrial are forecast to sign the most lucrative deals with the oil-rich country. Now, the scandal surrounding Japanese automaker Mitsubishi Motors appears to be deepening. It turns out the car giant may have been using a fuel efficiency testing method that doesn't comply with Japanese regulations on 27 models or more than 2 million vehicles. The Sankei Shimbun reports that the automaker is suspected of using non-Japanese test methodology on models including the RVR, Outlander and Pajero. There are fears the scandal could trigger ballooning compensation costs and fines for the company. Japan's sixth largest automaker was forced to admit this week that it had overstated the fuel efficiency of more than 600,000 cars. It wiped 40% off the company's market value, or more than $3 billion in just 3 days. Now, April 23rd, today is World Book Day, a celebration of authors, publishers, and most importantly, books and reading. But in Korea, it's not all festive, as research shows 4 out of 10 people don't even read one book a year. Lee Ji-won tells us more.
I don't read books that much. I read about 1 or 2 books a year.
I try to read 3 to 4 books a year.
According to a research by the Culture Ministry on more than 3,000 Korean adults, the number of people reading at least one book a year has been continuously falling. In 2015, the number hit the lowest point since related records began more than 20 years ago. The biggest reason people give for not reading is a lack of free time. Respondents also said they were not fond of reading or not that interested in books, and the list continues with other reasons that show reading is not a top priority. In fact, the average time people spend reading during weekdays has been steadily decreasing. It stood at around 23 minutes in 2015, about 10 minutes less than 5 years ago. Some experts say this is the result of long-term problem. Since students in Korea are always too busy with schoolwork, they grow up without much time or inclination to read for enjoyment.
People are not used to reading, and that's why it is not a priority in their lives. We need to create a reading culture for people to make it a hobby for them. Creating book-friendly environments for people is a solution. Book Cafe and Bookstay are some of them where people can easily approach and enjoy reading.
And the government is also seeking various ways to promote reading by organizing events like Book Dream Day, where books can be bought, sold, and traded. It also offers readers the chance to meet authors and gain insight into their works.
At this event in Central Seoul, numerous publishers and authors set up booths to encourage people to read. Various activities were also prepared to capture people's attention. And on Saturday, Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn paid a visit to highlight the importance of reading. He said the government plans to expand the number of public libraries across the nation and promote reading programs. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
Authorities in the U.S. state of Minnesota have released details on their investigation into the death of the singer Prince. The local sheriff said there were no obvious signs of trauma on Prince's body and no reason at this point to suggest he'd killed himself. The 57-year-old star, famous around the world for songs like Purple Rain and When Doves Cry, was found dead in an elevator on his estate on Thursday. Hyundai Motor's compact i10 model has won Best City Car at a prestigious British Auto Awards show for the second consecutive year. The Korean automaker says the i10 was praised for its practicality, generous equipment and competitive running costs at the 2016 Fleet World Honours. Judged entirely by the Fleet World Group editors, the awards are highly regarded by the business community in the UK and Europe. Since its global debut in 2007, Hyundai Motor has sold around 2.6 million units of the i10. Now, red ginseng is universally recognized for its numerous health benefits, but a new study says it's also effective in containing HIV and herpes. Kim Mo-byun reports.
Red ginseng, also known as hongsam in Korea, has been widely acknowledged for its effectiveness in fighting viral infections. According to a research team at the University of Ulsan's Asan Medical Center, a local patient infected with HIV since 1987 has survived for 30 years just by the help of red ginseng. The patient has ingested a dozen red ginseng capsules containing 500 milligrams of the root every day. This latest research has drawn attention since the average duration of life among HIV-infected patients is 11 years.
I think the best treatment for HIV is jointly taking red ginseng and HIV medication. It will help boost the immune system and improve a slow metabolism.
Red ginseng is also found to be helpful for patients infected with the herpes virus. Local researchers observed that the number of antiviral agents doubled when a mouse that tested positive for the virus was injected with red ginseng extract. Experts predict that given the protective effects red ginseng has against viral diseases, it could also possibly be effective in preventing Zika or even MERS. Kim Mo-gyan, Arirang News.
Now, before we go, we are going to take a brief look at the weather, and the air quality is very bad across almost the entire country with high levels of fine dust. So if you have to head out, try to limit any strenuous activities and wear a face mask when possible. Now, temperature-wise, it's going to be quite a brisk night, actually, with the low dipping to 6 degrees Celsius in Seoul. Sunday will be quite warm, with a high of 22 degrees Celsius in the Korean capital. And we'll be under clear skies, but the fine dust might linger, unfortunately. With that, let's take a look at the weather around the world. Well, that's all we have for now. Do enjoy the rest of your Saturday wherever you're watching us, and stay tuned to Arirang TV. We'll be back with our next newscast at 10 p.m. Korea time. Until then, goodbye.